So this piece is very different from my other work, and yet it looks like mine because of the color, of course, and the way that it makes you feel. I love this piece. It's very near and dear to my heart. I painted it this summer when I got back from my first ayahuasca journey, which was a little bit like a mini death portal in itself. And it was a profound experience. I loved working with the woman I worked with because, we really honored the plant. I only drank 1 cup, and that was plenty. It was plenty. I think that there's this Western version of ayahuasca where people are consuming a lot of it, and they're not respecting themselves, their nervous system, the plant. And so I love the way that I first interacted with the plant. And I think that's why this is called DNA Doctor. And I think that's why this magical DNA doctor came and sat with me during the Ikaro, which is where the shaman is singing over your body. And it's where you can start to feel the medicine working within. It's almost like a swirling sensation. And I had heat and steam coming off my body from about here to here. I had a lot of trauma living in my womb space, and that was one of the main intentions of going there. And it was dark at this point in the journey, not because I couldn't handle it, but because of what was coming out. And this DNA doctor was spinning like a little chromosome, and it was just hanging out with me. And I knew I was safe, and I knew that going through this was helping me rise. Like this, to go through this, I was gonna come out the other side a better person. And when I got back from my Aya journey, I was very fearless. I ended up telling this guy in my building I thought he was cute. And he was like, I have a girlfriend. I was like, okay. But at least I did that.
You're so brave.
I was brave.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like men get a lot of compliments these days.
Don't.
And I was like so happy to give something.
Oh, I love that.
And I didn't care. It was beautiful. And then he moved to New York, so maybe we'll date.
Welcome, Erin Long. You're a fine artist whose work bridges the seen and unseen, offering paintings as portals for reflection, awakening, and transformation. Inspired by esoteric traditions and the intuitive artistry of visionaries like Hilma af Klint, you approach painting as a form of divination, allowing fluid ink and watercolor to move with intention yet beyond control. Your pieces seem to defy gravity and reality, inviting viewers to discover their own evolving meanings within them. Rooted in trust for the unknown, your art carries an undeniable energy, bringing life, depth, and expansion into any space. Reiki master, death doula, sound healer, yogi, software sales director, contemporary abstract artist, very humble. Welcome, Erin Long.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's a mouthful right there.
Yes.
There's no one way to describe me, I feel. So I had to share all of my very humble accolades and certifications. I think maybe next time we can do Erin Long, human being, because I found that by walking all of those paths, every single one of them just pointed me inwards, as you know, being a yogi yourself.
Yes, for your age, I mean, you've experienced so many things, and it's wonderful just to see now you identifying as an artist.
I know. I think it took me a while to get there. It made me a little nervous. And I think that's why I walked all the different paths, because art was what lit me up. Art was the thing that excited me, but I didn't think I was going to be good enough. I thought the competition in the art world I just felt like I wasn't going to show up and stand out. And so I think subconsciously that's why I tried all those other things. Death doula, Reiki master. I mean, I was interested in them for sure, and it was subconscious, but I think I walked away from art only to come back and realize if I believe in myself, the world has no choice but to mirror that back to me.
So what did this process of claiming your identity as an artist, what did that look like for you?
I'm glad you used the word process, because it was a process. And as you heard, all of the certifications that also were kind of involved in that process. The process, it wasn't a lightning bolt moment. It wasn't this overnight, aha, I'm an artist. It was a slow and deep remembering, and then also some rewiring of limiting beliefs and just thoughts that didn't really resonate anymore. Parts of myself like perfectionism and achievement, those parts, that really stem from, I learned them in corporate America, I'm sure, or even as a child I learned them. And so I had to unwind and alchemize those parts of me to show up as an artist. And I think the best thing that I also did for myself was I stopped consuming so much art, which as an artist is probably a little bit taboo to say, but being on social media, I show up on Instagram, that's where I share my work alongside my website. But I found that I was just consuming a lot of art, and it was bringing up a lot of comparison wounds. I just didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel like what I was creating was good enough, and it sucked so much life and joy out of me. So first, I quit that. I put boundaries around consumption, because there's two types of people in the world. There's consumers and creators, and I want to be a creator. And the second thing I did that I think was really instrumental in claiming artist was I came up with my own definition of what it means to be an artist. And I believe that an artist is someone who creates from the inside out, which sounds a lot like a human being, right? As human beings, our purpose is creation. We came here to create. We get a body so that we can exist on this 3D planet, so we create. We can create and express ourselves and feel. And, I think more than just creating art, I realized that my purpose is also to inspire and encourage people to get conscious of what they're creating, what they're expressing, right? We all have a unique essence, a medicine, something to share with the world, something that we create and express. And so I want people to get conscious of that. First, you love who you're being and how you're showing up and what you're creating. And second, we're living in really unprecedented times. I think we need to ask ourselves as creators, are we creating something that's benefiting humanity and or the greater good of the planet itself?
It's an excellent message.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your time in corporate America and how that shaped the artist you are today.
Yeah, it was absolutely necessary. And I believe everything happens for a reason. Every step that we take walks us to where we are right now. And so, I don't know, I tell people that my time in corporate America is like being in a relationship that I knew wasn't great for me, but I just couldn't get enough of. What kept me hooked for so long was the pay. It was good money. The hours are flexible, and to be humble again, I'm really good at sales. And so I stayed for maybe longer than I should, but again, everything has purpose. Every step I took, every job I hopped, every promotion I chased, ladder I climbed, even stepping into a management role taught me that I don't want to do that. I didn't enjoy that environment. I didn't enjoy who I was being. It didn't fulfill me. But then the big question was, okay, well, what does fulfill me? And that's where all those certifications came in. I was spending the last 4 years finding and discovering what lights me up. And I bring that up because I think a lot of people think, oh, if I find out what doesn't fulfill me, then I just know, it's obvious. No, it took me time to figure out what brings me joy and what gives me purpose. And that's also where corporate America kind of comes full circle. The time that I spent in tech, the money that I received, that money enabled me to go and travel and take these certifications and learn about myself.
So How would you describe your artistic style in your own words?
Yeah, a lot's coming to mind. But the first thing is that my style is about, or my work is about making the invisible visible. So I'm taking an abstract concept, and I love Greek mythology, so I can use that as an example. I had a painting called Chiron, the Wounded Healer. And so Chiron, the story, is, a story, it's a concept. And I'm taking that and I'm creating my own interpretation. And then I think the next thing that's interesting about my style or my work is that I not only create something for other people to experience and have their own reflection with, but I create an experience for them to do so. I create like a multi-sensory experience to help them drop into their body and listen deeply to what's emerging. So in my first show, I actually did a phoneless experience because I wanted people to embrace stillness, to get quiet, not only just to make new friends and connections, but to really listen and to feel what was coming through. Not what I was trying to convey, what they were wanting to share with themselves and each other. And then the second point, I think, and as you can see, is color. It's something that really defines my work, no matter what medium. There's ink up at the top, there's watercolor, there's oil pastel. Despite the different mediums, despite the different collections, they're vastly different collections, color is that defining thread that's woven through my work. And I use color not just for its beauty, but because it has the potential to heal. And I sent you that amazing TED Talk about color and about how our world is becoming increasingly grayscale. White, gray, black. I mean, look at this apartment before I got my hands on it. It's a little bleak. And in the talk, she's discussing how these environments, the cars that we're driving, the colors that we wear on our body, the places we live, our schools, our hospitals, libraries, the environment's draining us, it's depleting us, it can make us feel isolated, depressed, anxious. And so color has this great potential to heal because of this term biophilia, which means that humans have an innate connection to the natural living world. And therefore, we thrive in environments that are natural or are alive. And so, we think about nature, there's color everywhere. Blue sky, green grass, yellow sun. That's what makes us feel alive. The sun is what wakes us up in the morning. It's all part of our rhythm. And so I use color in that way to heal. It's purposeful. Everything in my paintings have a purpose. Everything has a meaning. And I might not have known why at the time, or I might not have had the language back then, but I certainly have it now to describe and convey what I was trying to say.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about the flamingo and why it's pink.
Yes.
Can you share with us that story?
Just like human beings, I was saying earlier, we all have a unique medicine, something that we came here to birth and create and share. And animals too. Any living thing has an essence. A crystal has an essence and a property. A number has an essence and a property. An animal has that too. And so the totem or the medicine of the flamingo is that it teaches us we are what we consume, because the flamingo is traditionally white, but it eats shrimp. And so when it eats shrimp, it turns pink. It reminds us that we are what we eat. We are what we consume. We call it TV programming, where it's programming our minds. So if I can make a nod to medicine like that in that way, I will.
Many of your paintings, people have said, feel like portals. And so what do you hope people experience when they step into one?
Yeah, portal is such a big word, especially because of ChatGPT turned it into such a buzzword. But I swear I was on the portal game before that. But yeah, I think that's a great way to describe my work. You know, two very different people or two very similar people could come in and look at my work and have a very different interpretation. And that is the invitation and the gift. And I'm not only creating art that's a portal, but my experiences are a portal. So my experiences, the common theme there, I anchor on sensory. Whether it's one sensory element, like a sound element, or taste, or touch, or hear, feel, or it's multi. I do that on purpose because I'm trying to create a portal for people to walk home to themselves, because our senses are what bring us home, are what anchor us to the body. Our senses are what make us human. So in that way, I'm also creating a portal of an experience for people to walk through and come out a completely different person. Maybe with a new friends, a new outlook on life, maybe they're energized, they have new meaning with art, so many different things. I don't want to convey one thing. I want to convey what's coming forth, what's alive in you, what's alive in Jeff. It's so different for all of us, and that's something we should celebrate.
And I think that's what a good teacher does. You know, you're such a good teacher.
Thank you.
In allowing people to have their own
way.
Experience.
Yes. Yeah. You know, and my Reiki mentor shared that with me. Reiki is one path, one way towards enlightenment. It's not the path. Just like these paintings, they might be about evolution and awakening, and they could be about enlightenment, but it doesn't mean it's the way. It's a way, and if it resonates, that's awesome.
It takes a lot of confidence, too, I think, in you to allow people to do that.
Yeah.
To have their own interpretation.
Own meaning, and not be offended if people don't like it. I had to learn early on how to be okay with people not liking my work. People don't, you know, I'm not for everyone. So why would my art be for everyone? You have to sit with yourself. But that comparison it came up a lot on Instagram. I can kind of tie it back there. Something I had to really work on at the very beginning of that claiming artistry was I don't have one style. All of my collections are vastly different. And on Instagram, the artists that I was consuming, they had this very distinct, okay, they paint trees, or they paint in this way, or they use this color, or this technique, this type of canvas. And so I was trying to find what is my style until I realized that my style is Erin Long. It's just who I am. And that's freedom to just create then. So
you're not formally trained,
is
that correct?
And I don't have any plans. At one point, I was applying to Parsons in New York City. I'm headed there in about a month. And I was considering Parsons for its name brand and, you know, connections and technique. And all of those things are really valuable and can be acquired and sourced in other ways. The thing that I recently came to was, am I going to art school for the right reasons? Am I going to validate myself, feel more valid? Or am I going because it's going to bring me joy and make me a better artist? But who's to say I'll become better? Because art is just so subjective. And the thing that I worked really hard on, Marty, was removing comparison and validating myself. And I worked with those parts of myself that were striving for achievement and perfectionism. I don't want to go to school for that and be marked, you know, given marks for something that is so subjective. I don't know if you know, I studied architecture.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My first experience, my first year of architecture was sitting there with my drafting. So it was a physical drafted drawing, and the guys, he looked like Steve Jobs, like black little turtleneck and beret and and just like using the red Sharpie all over this beautiful drawing. And, you know, architecture is way more technical than art, but it's still, that rings, I can't get that out of my head. And I've already done that once. I'm in a completely different part of my life. I don't need any validation from anyone. So I won't be going to school.
Wow.
I will be taking maybe some technique classes. I would love to learn a little bit more about oil. It's a very beautiful but tricky, I guess, style and painting and medium. So I'd like to learn more about oil, and I'd love to take some classes.
So back to your artwork itself.
Yeah.
People have described it as being vibrational. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I had a really great conversation with an artist on Instagram, very successful artist, Eddie Gangland. And this is also a little point to people. I want to inspire people to reach out to, someone that you want to emulate. Who cares what their following count is? They're a person too. They were exactly, at one point he was where I'm at right now. And so I reached out to him, I rolled the dice, and of course he answered. And he shared something really important that I just can't get out of my head. And he said, people collect the artist, not the art. I know, big, right?
It's so true, because it's so personal. Each piece is so personal to you. It's a piece of you. And, as someone who has purchased this piece here.
Yes.
When I saw it, just weeks later, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And first of all, I think he's just so cute, for one. And then later on, you told me the name of it, the story behind it. Do you mind sharing that?
Of course.
With us?
Yeah, and just to really sink in, I think what Eddie was trying to say too, before I talk about him, is Eddie was trying to say that people are collecting my energy, my vibration, the frequency I'm emitting, my story, all of those certifications, every learning that I picked up along the way, what I've chosen to embody, what I've chosen to transmit. This is what they're collecting. It's a whole force field that they're collecting. They're not just walking away with the painting, although the painting is beautiful. But this painting is really special to me, and I'm so glad it connected with you as well. It's called The Emperor, and it's from one of my original first series, first painting I've ever done. Not the first, but one of the first. And this was back in 2021. We're coming out of COVID. COVID was a really beautiful time for me. I realized I was unhappy in corporate America. It's kind of the first, I don't like it here. I don't like this job. I'm kind of waking up. And maybe it was we had more time to reflect and there was stillness. So I realized I don't like what I'm doing. And so painting was this beautiful outlet. And simultaneously, I was, inspired to learn a little bit about meditation. I was dabbling in reiki. I wasn't fully there, but I had discovered quantum physics, which is the science of possibilities. And it's about intention. And so I discovered these quantum healing codes. So there's some numerology throughout the painting, but this specific code is a code to improve confidence. And I talked earlier about how my style is about making the invisible visible. And so I'm taking this very abstract concept, a code to improve confidence, and I'm the conduit for something to come forth. And lo and behold, the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz emerges before my eyes, and I'm with a sword. And I'm like, wait a minute. And as I'm painting and discovering and learning about his story is one of courage and one of remembrance. He's without a brain, so he feels less than, and he feels unworthy and powerless and unintelligent. And his whole story throughout the movie and book, was it a book?
Yes.
Oops, It was a book. His whole story is that he remembers that he is enough, that it was all he's innately worthy, he's innately intelligent, he's innately wise. It's remembrance and embodiment. And then the sword comes in, and the name, the Emperor, comes in because I also love tarot. And in the tarot, the Emperor is about embodying, his story is about embodying the lessons along the way, embodying truth and wisdom. Very much similar, everything comes from within, this innate worthiness that he's now chosen to embody. And that's where the sword comes in.
So there's another set of numbers in the top right corner. What do those
444.
represent?
Angel numbers. This was at a time when I was just noticing numbers. And angel numbers are a sign from the other side that people are with you, angels are with you, spirits are with you. And I don't know, you can create your own language. That's the fun part is, at that time, 444 meant protection because that's what I found on Google. But I put numbers in my paintings to remind people that it's your language. 444 should mean something to you personally. When you're seeing it, what's coming forth. Again, it's kind of like a portal, like the painting. So that's up for your interpretation.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm excited for this one. I can't wait to frame it and have it in your space.
Yes, we're going to have it in our house in a place where I look at it every day before I leave. And
Wonderful.
Yeah, I just love it. And again, it's having like a little piece of you and remembering the experiences that I've had with you in the yoga studio and watching you grow.
Wow.
And expand and now moving to New York. It's special. So
My next chapter.
yeah.
Yeah, we did. Sometimes I would come in twice a day. Mm-hmm. Summer of 2022, I remember being there twice a day. You have seen such a evolution of Erin Long.
Yes.
But thank you for creating such a safe sanctuary for me to become this. I believe I'm in my highest timeline, embodying my highest self. So thank you. You were absolutely part of my story and journey.
Well, happy to be that for you. And, that is something that is special about, you are a yogi. You have transformed.
Yeah.
And it takes, again, so much courage.
Yeah, he reminds us to be courageous.
Mm-hmm.
And the armor, it's like, it's external protection, but he has to remember that he's good on the inside. It's a really fun kind of polar there.
So this one is somewhat similar to this one in that I see some of these codes, some of the pinks. Can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
This piece, honestly, has to be one of my favorite pieces. I don't know who this man is that I've channeled, but this piece brings me a lot of peace, and it's cooling and it's calming. And this, yes, you're absolutely right. There's an energetic quantum healing code. That code is for improving memory. And at the time, again, I'm making this concept visible. Not quite sure what I'm channeling. Not quite sure, but I'm leaning green. And now I have the language. I've done a lot of, I've walked the Reiki path, which is a lot about, there's a lot of chakra work in that too. And I know now that the heart chakra is green and pink, which you see in the painting. And I believe that we remember from the heart. So this code is about improving memory. So the green is to connect you with your heart space, to remember who you are, remember what fulfills you, what brings you joy.
Well, there's such a contrast between some of these earlier pieces. You said that's from 2021.
Correct.
And then I look at some of these ink pieces behind you and up here
so
to my
different.
left. Yeah, so different. So these are more recent?
Yes, absolutely. I like that the way the work has progressed. I would say that my collections really closely mirror my life, who I am at that time in my life, and mirror a specific time period. So this time period was marked by a little bit more chaos, right? I was in an environment I didn't like, and I was just beginning to dabble with metaphysics and the spiritual side of life. And now I'm a lot more embodied. I'm present. I'm teaching myself how to sleep again. I know how to rest. I am eating properly. My brain and body are finally in coherence. My nervous system is regulated. My energy is contained. This year was a lot about getting clear on distractions. Things that I tend to put my hands in a lot of pots. I know a little bit about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And so I had to remove my hands from a lot of pots this year, clear the distractions, go all in on art. And you see that in my paintings. They're very clear and crisp and concise, and they're really expansive. So this is sort of where my new work is going. This is definitely from 2025. I would say this is very, very abstract and very modern and more simple. And that's okay, because there's a lot of depth in the meaning of it. But where I'm headed right now, I'm definitely exploring a lot of like raw linen, oil on linen. I'm exploring nature scenes, which is new for me, right? We don't have any landscape really around here. So I'm exploring a lot of nature and landscape scenes because I'm feeling this deep connection or inspiration to get connected to our earth and to inspire other people to get connected to our earth, because that's what inspires and reminds us of our own belonging, and it's what will inspire us to take care of the planet in a better and higher way.
Yeah, something that we need and is comforting, someone who's now 50 looking at you, this young,
Thank you.
Young
I'm 33.
Lady,
I'm not that young. I'm young, but
But you're saying our earth, wanting to take care of, and hopefully help, stop some of the damage that's been done and taking care of that. So that is, that feels good as someone who is older, like that you are thinking about that now.
I'm glad.
And I think a lot of your generation is doing that. I think we
are.
Mm-hmm.
And the language, you called out, language that we use is really important. A couple times I think I said the planet, but when we say our planet, our earth, or when people call her, like when they use feminine, like it's very different. The relationship that you have to the body or my body, the earth versus our earth. It feels different. If you really are still, it feels very different. And it inspires you, yes, to take care of my body, not the body, my body. I want to take care of my body, just like I want to take care of our earth.
Yeah, it has a different energy.
It does.
For sure.
And those small details, just like in my art, are really important to me.
So what role do you see your art playing in the cultural moment that we're in? You spoke a little bit about kind of where we are.
Yeah, I mean, definitely
today.
We'll have to circle back in 2028, like enough said there. But I do feel that the cultural moment is one that I'm creating. To sound humble enough, but I believe I am creating this cultural moment, a moment or a time where people, new audiences are connecting with art in new ways. We're in an increasingly like technological AI age where we're trying to automate everything, and it's beautiful to have something that's hand done, and it's beautiful to be reminded of our humanness. So I'm creating culture by creating experiences and curating these experiences that have that sensory element that reminds us, our senses remind us that we're human. They plug us to our body. And when we're in our body, we're plugged into the earth. And that's when we can give and receive information. You can't do that when you're not in your body. When you're in your head, you're not communing with the earth, and you're not communing with others, nor yourself. And so I believe I'm creating culture by creating experiences that make us human. And
it seems like you're bringing in an entirely new audience to really love and appreciate and connect with art.
I don't leave any stones unturned. I look at everyone as a potential viewer and collector. I invited everyone that played a role in my art to my first show. So down to the people at FedEx that shipped my art from Austin to LA for my LA show. Those people were invited to my show, down to the people at the local coffee shop where I get my favorite matcha. Those people are showing up. People in my building, right? I had this show on the 44th floor of this apartment building downtown. So residents are coming. It's new audiences. Are they all buying? No. But are they all starting to commune with themselves and starting to think about themselves and art in a different way? Art just being something humans create. They're just thinking of themselves in a more creative, powerful way. I want people to leave my experiences remembering how powerful they are innately.
We need more of that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So where do you dream of showing your artwork next?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. The Guggenheim in New York City, not only because I'm going to be living there, but the Guggenheim is so special to me because of Hilma of Klint. I associate her with the Guggenheim. Her work lives there basically. And, you know, she was my first inspiration when I first started painting. I feel like I was channeling some of her in my work. You can see it in the colors. You know her work.
Did you? Yes.
Okay.
A little bit. She's was a Swedish artist, and I do see some, I guess, sparks of her, you know, in your work, and vice versa. She had these books, you know, notebooks just full of sketches and, you know, the colors, very into color.
Yeah.
One of her pieces, I think it was Evolution, you know, reminds me of a piece that you have, little bits, you know, like there is that little nod there, but there is that vibrational aspect, the experience. She was ahead of her time, as are you.
Yes.
You know, still.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did you find her? Or did someone say, "Oh, this reminds me of"?
No, I think I found her through Google.
Oh.
Like, I never actually saw her paint. I've seen her paintings, but I didn't see them first. I found her online, and then I bought multiple books, so I can send you home with some of her books. She has great coffee table books. And, you know, she's really interesting. I feel a lot like Hilma because she was, ahead of her time. She was a esoteric conduit. She was channeling all of her work. So she started by channeling in this little group of witches. They would have a seance together. There was like 5 women. Okay. And eventually it just became her and her guides and light beings, way ahead of her time, right? Like she's channeling light beings and she's listening to them down to the T. They're like yellow in this quadrant, blue in this quadrant. Oh, wow. So yeah, those notes are really important because she was writing down what she was then supposed to go and color in the line. So I think I love her work, and her work is similar to mine in that she's making the invisible visible. And then lastly, her work is about evolution. She has the painting called Evolution. She has a series called Evolution, I believe. Her work, really, you can see birth, life, death, rebirth, which I'm fascinated by. The living world and how everything dies. I'm fascinated by that. I mean, I studied to be a death doula last year. And so her work lives in the Guggenheim, and she did not design it. That was Frank Lloyd Wright, but she channeled this temple that her paintings would live in. And so the temple closely resembles like the spiral in the Guggenheim. It's quite fascinating. So she knew where her paintings were supposed to be. And I think she just accepted her fate of, you know, she only sold 1 painting in her lifetime. It's too bad. If she can see us now, all enjoying her work, and it makes sense. And so that's where I see my work next. Not any of this work is beautiful, but I'm working on some psychedelic nature scenes, and nature, right, points us inside. And nature is where we can see ourselves more clearly. So nature, you know, pushes us to do the work, learn, go inside. It's like the spiral. Every step we take takes us further and further inside. So that's where I see my work. Without
divulging too much, because I don't want to give everything away, but can you give us a little bit more of a glimpse into what you're working on now? You said some of these psychedelic nature scenes. You're such a positive person. You know, you've had this incredible healing journey, and I see that in your paintings. I would imagine that's part of your process now as well.
Yeah, where I'm headed, unfortunately I lost my brother in September, and I have a spiritual understanding of death. So I have my hard days, but then I also have these days where I can feel my brother in such a beautiful way, and I'm being blessed. I'm walking this new timeline, being blessed by having someone on the other side that's giving me signs and sending me major blessings. And so my next series is going to be about calling out those blessings and reminding people of the multifaceted nature of death, reminding people that every living thing dies, and with that comes new life, new blessings. So it'll be called Silver Rainbow instead of Silver Lining. It's a nod to the silver rainbows, the blessings that come with having a loved one on the other side. So that, and then those psychedelic nature scenes, I think I'm dedicating something to my brother there.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know he's proud of you.
He is. Yeah. Before we sat down to record, I was moving the rug and I was feeling a little nervous, my first time recording with you, and I was asking for a sign from my brother, and lo and behold, there's like a lucky penny stuck to the rug, and it definitely wasn't there. It must have been underneath the rug. Just a little glimmer, a shimmer of hope, and a nod that I'm here.
Yeah. What conversations or transformations do you hope your work sparks in other people? Perhaps part of it, a closure with loved ones.
Absolutely. Yeah, a new perspective on death. And when we accept death and when we befriend death, we befriend life. We start living more vibrantly and living more fulfilled and purposeful. So definitely that new perspective on death. And then I think I'm a pretty inspiring person. I moved into this apartment not with an intention of turning it into a gallery. But as the year went on, it was about May, I was sitting here and I had just shipped a couple paintings to LA for a group show. And I went to LA and it was great. And I came back and I said, I'm not gonna wait for another gallery. I have enough work. I'm just gonna have my own. And within a day, I had a TaskRabbit here. I did not install this. No, he did a great job. So I had a TaskRabbit here installing my work within a day. And I meet someone in my building. He's like, I have a tequila brand. Why don't I bring some tequila? And so I had this impromptu little happy hour for the residents. And I sold a painting just off the wall that day. Just, wow. And so I hope to inspire people. Don't wait. If you want to do something, do it create it yourself. And then, that little happy hour went so well, I thought, why don't I do a bigger one? Why don't I do a show? So then I did my own show on the 44th floor, and it was multi-roomed. There was multi-sponsors. I had the bar next door doing food and appetizers and a sponsored bar. And then I had the tequila tasting, and it was phoneless. And I had a friend that brought crystals, and we did this whole crystal installation to guide the energy in the space. It was so thoughtful. And I thought to myself, I'm so glad that I curated this. I'm a Virgo. It's very clear. I feel it's coming out here. I'm obsessed with what I want to create. Yeah. I want it to be how I want it to be. And so I think just create it yourself. If you don't see something in the world, that's your invitation to create it. And I think that I'm a living, walking embodiment of that.
And that's why we want to own a little piece of you.
Yes.
It's like a reminder. I think that's such excellent advice to people of all ages. Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Do what you love. There's that saying, many people look or they ask, what does the world need? Instead of asking that, find what brings you light and do that thing. And that makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for bringing more color, energy, healing to the world. I mean, you're doing it.
And we found out life is precious and sometimes short or shorter, and nothing is promised. So yes, live every day, do what you love. And you're right, Figure out what lights you up. Because, yeah, people say, how am I going to save the world? Save yourself first. You get properly resourced at the home front, and then you can share with others. And you light up your community, and then your community lights up other communities, and that's how you change the world. It starts at home.
I think that's a perfect way to end.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you just for
It's
everything
so
that you're doing. And we want to stay connected to you. You know, don't forget us here in Austin.
I can't say exactly what, but there are a couple events that I'm curating in New York, probably about May, definitely the summertime. So stay tuned. I would love to have you there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we will absolutely stay in touch. And I have a feeling I'm going to be back to Austin quite a bit.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.